Hello, my name is Kiana Knott, and I currently attend College of Southern Maryland. And today we will be talking about communication between males and females. So imagine walking this earth without being able to communicate or express your thoughts or your true feelings. So you begin to fall into depression, you feel overwhelmed and bombarded. Then imagine that the only way you will get through that phase is to release those feelings through communicating with another person or yourself. The purpose of my speech is to inform you on gender communication. Gender communication is a specialization of the communication field that focuses on ways we as gendered beings communicate. As we know, communication is the root to creating or building any relationship. Communication is used during the beginning, the middle, and the complete duration of the relationship. According to Myra Mans, it is not enough to show people how to live better. There is a mandate for any group with enormous powers of communication to show people how to be better. So my hope is that by the end of this speech that you understand how to communicate effectively and you no longer carry the burdens of being overwhelmed and stressed or bombarded. According to an article on communication research by Rhonda Kelly, men and women express themselves in different ways for different reasons. Men use communication to maintain independence, while women maintain their intimacy. Whether conscious or unconscious, men often talk to establish other statuses from others. Women use words to connect themselves emotionally, to express feelings or build rapport, while men often share facts and figures as a report. Tenon labels these communicative differences report talk and report talk. So what are ways to communicate? So let's watch a short film. I'm not going to play it all, but I'll play some of it just for information purposes.
Well, joining us now is communications expert Steve Rohr. We are so excited to have you back here on CT Style.
Hey, I had a blast last time.
Good to know.
Come back.
Well, I broke into the studio. Yeah, they don't know I'm here.
In that case, we'll put
but
you
I
to
am
work.
here. Thank you.
So today we're talking all about men, women, communication.
And miscommunication.
Very
The
good.
number one cause of divorce in this country is miscommunication. And there are a lot of divorces going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to learn how to translate men and women speak.
Okay, because I might say something and Ryan might think something completely different,
Well,
right?
That's exactly right.
Hold on, Teresa. So,
Oh.
so what are some
we
of
have
those signs that
conflict
you
already.
see? Yeah. Hey,
We have conflict already.
How about eye contact? That's
Eye
important.
contact. Well, women like to use a lot of eye contact. It means you're engaging with someone, you're paying attention. Men, not so much. So men will be listening, but the woman may not believe it. So
Like, hey, what are you
why
doing?
that's exactly why you hear it. Did you hear what I said?
Put your
Are you
phone down
listening
for a
to me?
second.
Are you listening to me? The guy is listening to you, usually.
I don't think the guy is listening.
Well,
I don't.
okay, that's true. That's
Probably
actually
not.
true.
Yeah.
But that makes a big difference with eye contact. So men should really use a little bit more eye contact.
I think that's a great advice, great tip there.
I feel like men, when we listen, we are looking at somebody, but then when you talk, like I really make direct eye contact with somebody
Right.
all the time when I'm talking to
Right,
them when I'm listening.
right. Well, for men, you don't use a lot of eye contact usually, especially with other men, because it's confrontational. That's how men see eye
What are
contact.
you looking at?
Yeah, what are you looking at? What are you doing? What's going
That's why
on?
we're all staring off into the abyss of
Exactly,
nothing.
exactly. So you have to adapt, you have to translate and say, well, I know what's going on here.
Okay, so the next tip says ask.
Yes.
Just come right out and say it.
Well, men tend to make demands or make statements.
Okay.
Right? Women will ask questions. So if you're hanging out with your friends and you say to your buddy, hey, get me a beer. They're like, yeah, sure, I'll get you a beer. If you say, get me a beer to a lady,
Not good.
not so good. That's a recipe for major problems for a month, 2 years, 10 years.
Forever.
It's forever,
And sometimes
basically.
I feel like men are right to the point, like, get me a beer.
All right, so as specified in the video, females tend to look for intimacy, trust, emotional support, as well as be expressive to other women. So, as also said in the video, there's also ways that men and women communicate. So, like they explained, I can ask my friend, me being a female, I can ask my female friend, hey, do you mind grabbing my purse? Whereas I might ask a guy, hey, can you grab my purse? The guy will be less likely to respond in a positive response. So he will less likely say, yeah, sure, I'll grab it. More than likely, a male will say, I don't feel comfortable doing that. As to a woman, she will say, sure, I'll grab your purse for you. So just simple things like that is why females, is the difference between male and female in gender communication. Males are a little different. So with males, they like to maintain independence. They also like to maintain status, and they hold back their true feelings, and they're also very private. Men can have arguments with one another, and 5 minutes they will be over it, and then they'll move on and they'll hang out with that same person in 2 minutes. Like they just didn't get into a whole big altercation or argument. Whereas us women, if we get into an argument with another female, we tend to hold those feelings in. We get upset. We don't want to be friends with them anymore. You know, we're very more intimate when it comes to relationships. Okay. So, also I wanted to touch bases on children. As children, our parents begin to teach us the basics with communication. They start by asking us to tell them when things are hot, when things are cold, when things are wrong, or when things are right. According to an article by Gibb Harding in 1982 titled Development of Intention to Communicate, he states, the development of intention to communicate is examined, the process through which paralanguage infants learn to use communication as a goal is related to the coordination of 3 dimensions of casual knowledge. We have learn means in relationships, learn the objective of casualty, and also learn the aspect of casual agents, which is a development model of intention is proposed, which identifies components of intentional formation and intentional behavior, which develop gradually in a certain fashion related to casual development. So then as we leave childhood and we become adults, we learn how to communicate effectively and use positive affirmations. Okay? So, what is effective communication and positive affirmations? So, growing from childhood teens to adults, like I stated, you begin to use positive affirmations, criticism, intentional behavior, effective communication, responses, and assumptions. Okay? So as our next slide pulls up, we're going to talk about effective communication. Effective communication is defined as verbal speech or other methods of relaying information that get a point across. Positive affirmations are positive statements that can help you challenge and overcome self-sabotage and negative thoughts. When you repeat them often, you start to make positive changes. Okay, so how do we begin to use effective communication? By being intentional with your words, your volume, your tone, and putting forth effort and understanding of the other person's perspective of ways that they communicate, that they effectively communicate. Okay? So, in my conclusion, as a community, learning how to communicate is very important, and again, is the root of any relationship. We have great opportunities and resources in the world to better communicate with each other that we do not utilize. When people are learning to communicate, we can also go to counseling. We can sit down with our partners or our friends, and we can talk to them about ways that we communicate or how we communicate so that we can have a better understanding and a better relationship. Okay? So it is okay to start today and work on ways that you can communicate comfortably with others. Communication is like a job. Every day, you get better at it. As mentioned earlier, holding in your feelings or questions can disrupt your way of communicating with others. In any relationship type, you both can work together to learn each other's communication types. Okay? So, according to a 2017 article by Point Park University titled Gender Differences in Communication Styles, it states, learn about the different styles of communication used by men and women to seek to understand the context for both genders. Don't be afraid to recognize differences and adopt your style of communication to someone else's. With your knowledge of the differences in communication between genders, you can effectively manage and work in a diverse environment and create long-lasting relationships that will help you along the way. Thank you.